Welcome to the Marvel Alliance podcast, where we cover anything and everything to do with the Marvel Universe. In the comics, TV, and movies, we will go from Earth 616 to the Mojoverse to the TVA in order to bring the Marvel Universe right to you. I'm the man without fear, Chris.
I'm your friendly neighborhood Brent.
I'm the podcaster of Mischief, Trust Now.
Alliance Assemble. I Love You 200. Doesn't have the same ring as I Love You 3000.
No,
but
it doesn't.
No, you'll get there.
I'll get there. Oh, God, how old will we be in 3000?
So let's say it took about 3
No,
years.
no, don't do the math. Don't do the math.
I'm going to do it.
But we're going to have to go daily.
Yeah. I don't know if any of us has the bandwidth to go daily.
No.
So
If we didn't have our day jobs, absolutely. You know?
Oh, sure.
yeah, sure. Yeah, we reached to that point where we can make this our livelihood. Yeah, that's the dream.
I don't think it's going to happen because I think if you were to get to 2000 and this took 3 years, it would take us another 666 years. So we'll make it.
You know what? Cryogenics helps.
Halfway
Yeah.
there.
I think I can make it to 665. At 66, that might be pushing it. So.
You get Mephisto at that point. You go 666.
Exactly. Exactly. Make a deal. He's coming soon, right? That's what I hear.
Yeah, exactly. He's always coming at that point.
Yeah.
David in the chat wishing us all congratulations. Yes, this
Thank
is
you,
our
David.
200th episode. So, we'll reminisce, and the people have asked us a few questions in the feedback section, so we'll reminisce about that. But yeah, gentlemen, this is a, have the original co-host, have the current co-host at that point. We got to bring the family together.
Absolutely.
And you're the original all the way through, you know?
I'm the original all the way
whole
through.
run, yeah.
But
You and
the only
Hines share that.
The only thing I can claim is like, okay, I've been on more episodes than both of you, but I haven't been on. None of us have been on all 200. So
It is a group effort.
Yes.
And we've had other people fill in, like David in the chat. Hines has been on the show. Clay, of course, the rest of the GUA has been on. Like, it is a group effort. Let's be real.
It is. It absolutely is, and we'll say this over and over again. We want to thank you, everyone, for if this is your first episode, you've been with us since the beginning, you've been with us midway through, whenever you've joined us at that point, we greatly appreciate it. This little gem of a show that Mr. Snell put up in when he started the GUA in my mind. Yeah, I'd never dreamed about doing a daily show. I mean, not a daily show. Yeah.
we just talked off air. We're not doing that.
a weekly show, let alone anything like that. It has been a pleasure, and I'm looking forward to keep doing this until it stops being fun, which I don't think it's going to be anytime soon. So.
I don't think so. I think you'd have to get to that point where 15 years from now, superhero stuff dies, nothing is out, you've reviewed every single thing that's already come out, and then go, well, that's it,
That's it. It's over.
Yeah, but no, it's been a good time. Oh, go ahead.
The final episode would be at that point we finally get Kevin Feige on the show, and just like, we can't top it. That's it.
Yeah, I'd be
That's all
asking
we
about
can
Ralph
do.
Boner. That's what I'd be asking about. That's my number one
Lord.
thing.
And one question. That's what
would.
he blows it
You
on.
would.
No, we should do that'd be a good. Someone in the chat, whether I'll throw it on next time, that'd be good. Like, what's the one question you would ask Kevin Feige if you were to have? And also, it's like, let's say it's a room, you're having dinner, you can ask anything and get the answer. Not like we love what we do here at Marvel and we can't. They're so excited. Like, I don't want the Feige
But
PR
like, get
spin.
a real answer.
Yeah, whether it's something about the future or something about it would be like, I actually wouldn't ask about the Boner thing, but just something where it's like, I'd love to pick his mind many times about stuff. Again, if we don't get details, maybe I'd ask about this whole Spider-Man business, as we talked about last week, about like, what's the deal with Spider-Man, Yeah.
Like David saying, Feige kills the Marvel Universe.
He can kill the GOA if he comes on, we'll sell it to
Exactly,
him. He can buy it, but
I'll
no.
sell out so fast.
Oh, you
Yeah.
better believe it at that point.
That's why we're usually mostly positive these past few years, because we've been bought. No, but it's been a good time. Like I said, I was on the first year, and then Brent, I've thanked him many times, but always say him again that he took over, because who knows what the show would have been if we didn't have another. I would have been. I
would have been talking alone.
You would have been talking alone, or I would have been here, but I would have just been uber stressed because my job, especially at that point, went all over. And even sometimes, like, now I plan around, but there's still sometimes where it's like I'm listening to you guys while I'm at work and stuff like that. So, no, I thank you to Brent and stuff. And I thank you to Chris to keep going and stuff, because I know, it was a jump to do a weekly show. And everyone that's listening, you guys have really supported the show. You've really supported the Soul Feeds. There's even like last year, for the first time ever, there was like there was a month where the Marvel feed was bigger than the GUA feed. And that's not to disparage the GUA feed. That's to bring up Marvel and the listeners that like even the times where there's strikes or pandemics, people have always been around, and you got to stick with us now because we have no Marvel stuff till July. But we do.
We
got stuff. Yeah.
I mean,
oh my
Madam
God,
Web
we
is
do
in
got
less than a
Madam
month.
Web.
Come
Oh
on
my
now.
God, I've completely forgot. Like I just think about the MCU now. Yeah, Madam Web's the blueprint. Something I don't want to be hearing on the 300. When we get to the 300, I don't.
Madam Web the sequel.
maybe like the week after Madam Web comes out, like when we touch on the box office, it'll be time to retire the blueprint.
It's fine.
It's
had its
course.
run. Heck, we even got credit from our friends over at the the Academy
Rewind.
The Academy Rewind podcast blames us for the popularity of Madam Web. So we appreciate
The popularity, judging by those
popularity.
numbers, where's that popularity going? Marvel Alliance feed going to be bigger than Madam Web.
I like
box
the
office
people
at
who
this
said
point.
it's Madam time.
It's Madam time.
It's
Oh,
Madam
that's
time.
awesome.
I'm
That's
having a
great.
really good time with the memes of that PNG that's been released to Dakota Johnson and
Yes.
putting her hand out. The people are getting really creative, so it does bring that joy like Morbius, where it's like people are having a good time with this. I hope they do this because that's the only goodness I can take out of this, getting those movies. But either way, it's been fun to talk about all this stuff, and I know we got some questions to reminisce about stuff later, so I won't go too far. But yeah, just a big thank you to everyone that has guest hosted, everybody, like even that, like that's how I met David. Me and David had podcasts on Geekverse together. Like we've met other different people and stuff. I apologize anytime Kirkland or Taylor were on because they probably brought the show down. But other than that, it only happened once. But no, it's been a good time and always excited, and especially for like we. Technically, once we hopefully everything gets rolling, this podcast never was around when Avengers was up. So I hope Avengers happens. It's gonna happen. But I mean, like that'll be exciting time. I remember like that was the most exciting time for this podcast was I think No Way Home and that build up and stuff. That's the time where it's like okay, so I'm excited for when we get to that. And we've like I said, we've been through COVID, we've been through strikes, so. I'm excited to see what's going to happen.
We keep on swinging, right?
What's
guys?
next?
What's next?
The 2024 election. That's what's next.
Oh, dude. Not on this show.
Good luck, Americans.
All right. Well, how has your week been, Mr. Snell?
It's been good. I talked about this a little bit on Geek First. You guys off air. There've been a lot of sick calls, so that was a little hectic. But I'm excited. Playoffs are coming up. Good luck to your Chiefs, Brent. I am not.
Thank you very
Playoffs.
much. Thank you.
Playoffs.
I'm not one of those meme people that it's always like it's all of us against the Chiefs. I'm fine with people winning again, having a dynasty. I was never fine with the Patriots because they have multiple counts of cheating, multiple seasons where they won. That was always my issue.
Cheaters.
Hey, my Giants beat him. My Giants beat him twice.
Oh, I was rooting for the Giant every time. Yeah, so I have no problem with dynasty. Both my teams got eliminated last week, so now it's just like I hope they're good games.
You got the Packers.
Packers and Bills are my other
Bills.
ones because I like Josh Allen, but I'm ready to revoke my 3 years ago. I said this guy's going to be a Super Bowl winner, and I think I'm gonna be revoking that soon. I think there's just too many times where it's just like the time where with Manning and Brady. It's like it's tough because Mahomes is there, and it's like I wonder if Mahomes wasn't there, would Allen have a lot more rings? But it doesn't matter. He's still gonna make the plays. He's still gotta win. So got Royal Rumble, and then if you're a Geek First fan, I'm cramming in a few movies because we got our Golden Geeks overall next week. So I have to watch I gotta make a couple more theater trips actually to get that done because there's a couple of movies I've not seen. So and catch up on other ones. I got to see Iron Claw finally and Poor Things. So no, it's been a good week for stuff I like.
Seeing Poor Things.
I can't believe we got it. But so it's been a good geek week for me. Job wise though, completely sucks. So I'm ready for the weekend coming up. So anytime that 8 hours is brutal, but it's just due to sickness. People are great, job's great, but when you have a staff of 5 and you're working with 2, like it's just you and another person, you're like, well, we're gonna do the best we can. And yeah.
Hey, Madam Web's Boris Kids just put it out. Madam Web has received a March 1st, 2024 release in China.
Oh, you scared me. I thought it was like getting delayed or something
No.
like that. Like, let's just pull the Band-Aid off,
Yeah.
But
Brent, how's your week been?
It's been pretty good. Can't complain too much. It's been like wow. Like I was saying yesterday, I'm like it's Wednesday, but it feels like Friday already because there's been so many snow days, and on snow days, just not a lot happens. And so it's just we've actually like been there like every day. There was plenty of work to do every day. It's been weird, but I'm ready for the weekend.
Yeah, it's been a very busy week at work. It is a full moon week, so I'm just gonna let you soak on that for a bit and figure out what happens in a school when it's a full moon. I
And Chris is a principal at a school that has werewolves, so it really assistant principal at a school that has werewolves, so it's the worst.
If you're watching this live, I'm a little bit off camera. There's a small reason for that. This morning I do my morning run, and I hear a pop because I take a turn and pop part of my calf. So,
oh no.
So I've been elevating and icing all day. Luckily, today and tomorrow, I'm in the middle of Teacher of the Year interviews for the county, since I'm assistant principal of the year for my counties. So that's one of my duties, is to help them conduct the countywide Teacher of the Year. So I do a lot of sitting and having my leg elevated with ice. So
he ain't making it to episode 2000. I'll tell you that much.
Luckily, I am
Not
walking.
That knee.
I am walking a lot better than I was this morning. So the good thing is I can walk on it. Right now, everything I'm reading is if I can walk on it, no surgery, no anything like that. So
That's good.
Just rest it up. Don't push it.
Yes, I'm trying not to. So, but all right, we have Remediv. We've gone 11 minutes. And we haven't we've been having fun already.
It's 200.
So.
We can do whatever we want.
Oh yeah, exactly.
We're gonna call the show right there. We're just doing 11
good night,
minutes.
everyone.
Yeah, we're taking the week off. That's
yeah, exactly. We do hard work for this. Yeah. All right, so we are part of the Geek Ultimate Alliance network with 7 shows covering the wide range of geek and nerdom. To see the full schedule below, check out the show notes and subscribe to the Geek Ultimate Alliance network on Twitter at GWayPod Network so you know when all the shows drop. We also have a Patreon, so if we want to throw a couple of shekels our way. We got 2 tiers. Our $1 tiers are tip jar to say, hey, you think you're doing a good job? And then we've got our $5 tiers, ad-free episodes, early access episodes, and Patreon-exclusive shows, including our recently wrapped-up show, We Can Watch This All Day, the Marvel Alliance MCU Infinity Saga rewatch. We've got all 24 movies that, with the exception of Black Widow, we've included that in what should have been part of the Infinity Saga. It's all up there right now. We've got DC Alliance doing their DC film through the years. We've got Clay and Jake doing their Marvel Snap reviews. A lot of back content. We've got a lot of Joe's Multiverse Minutes back content that he's got out there. So we want to thank our patrons. We can't do this without your support. Go to www.patreon.com/GWay Network to join our Patreon. And last but certainly not least, we want to thank our official sponsor, OrganicPriceBooks.com, for your omnibus hardcover collected edition needs. JP and the crew at OPB have got it going on with excellent customer service, immaculate packaging, ships around the world. The next big final order cutoff is coming. New pre-orders are starting tomorrow on Organic Price Books. Big day for Marvel. We've got Excalibur Volume 3 in Omnibus coming out. We've got Ultimate Spider-Man Volume 4. That is the second to last volume before the thing that happens that'll just reveal what happens if I say the title of the final volume of it. Got a lot of great stuff coming out there, so check out Organic Price Books this weekend. Those will be live, and use that code MARVELGUA at checkout to get $2 off every single order. We want to thank them for being our official sponsor. All right, so let me.
And the survey and the links.
The survey. Yes, survey. Yes,
that goes for another week and a half or something like that. So a bunch of questions. Let us know stuff.
Yeah, GUA listener survey. Yep, I'm scrolling down at that point. Travis making sure I say it at that point. Yep, it's in the show notes. It's out there on our Twitter feeds. Use that out there in order to let us know what you feel. We've got a few questions for Marvel Alliance. We've got a few other DC Alliance questions got out there. Let us know what you honestly think. If you like us, great. If you don't like us, we'll still listen at that point. We might, have some fun with it at that point if you don't like us. And unlike some of those reviewers that say they don't like us because we don't talk enough DC, that's always a cute review.
Wow, that's a throwback.
Yeah. I know.
Wow,
I love that
review.
guy.
Forgot about that guy.
I love that
but
review.
do be honest in the surveys for real.
It's anonymous. Yeah, it's not like Patreon where if you vote on something we can see, it just comes up as user 1, user 2. Well, no, I tell people it's like, especially at Geek First when we do Golden Geeks, it's like don't vote for your own submission. We know, But this is through Google Docs. It's completely
Why not
just
vote for your
user
own
1,
submission?
user 2.
You put it in there.
I guess, but that spoils the fun. You're so that means Chris has maybe done that, but user, it just comes up as user 1, user 2. So yeah, constructive criticism is the best. So.
All right. So David says more Madam Web, please.
Put it in the survey, David.
Put it in. Just say don't retire the hashtag.
You guys missed out on your next combo club. That could have been Madam Web something. You guys are all about the blueprint.
Yeah,
Does
we
she
never
have her
we haven't
own?
really gone into the blueprint for what yet. That revelation will happen that week. So
Yeah, of
we
course.
just said it's the blueprint. People keep us thinking that it means one thing when you don't know what it actually means.
That's
I mean,
true.
buildings that fall over have blueprints. I'm just
That's right,
saying.
yeah.
I'm just saying.
Podcast networks have blueprints, and
Yes. COVID, the blueprint was all over the place.
Yeah.
I was trying to see. Do you guys know? Does Madam Web, has she ever led her own comic series?
no, has not.
The best Madam Web
I can't think.
comics.
Has there been a miniseries?
I don't know if there's been a minute. You probably have Marvel Limited probably pull it faster than I have. Yeah,
I've
I
not
mean now
seen
that
any.
the current Madam Web, is not necessarily our older lady anymore.
Yeah.
So she's walking around with her red trench coat and not necessarily the suggestive outfit they've got. What's her face in? So
Like the Prowler got a comic and she was in that, but yeah, I just looked at some website best ones and you would feel
No,
like
it's just
yeah, so.
pulling up a bunch of stuff that she was a part of, but
Okay, there
not.
you go.
Or a bunch of stuff that has the word web in it. So,
That's fair.
which there's a couple things in Marvel Comics with the word web in it. So,
yeah, it seems on brand. So, but all right, another week, gentlemen. Let's talk about some Daredevil. That's what the show's all about
Every
tonight.
time.
Daredevil. Again, you put it on Geekverse. Yeah, Brent is the Spider-Man. Even though, I love Spider-Man, but if in a contest Brent's gonna win out on the Spider-Man one, I'll be the Daredevil fan. So I'm living.
I accept that. I accept that answer.
I am living my best life right now with all this news. So yes, Hollywood Reporter put out kind of a breakdown of what's getting ready to go on with some rumors and some scuttlebutt at that point. So they go on to say that it's turning its attention, which started officially back into production this Monday. Interesting enough, no set photos that I saw kind of making the rounds. So
Not yet. Yeah, not yet. No, but I definitely think
they're coming.
they're gonna happen. I think that's why we've gotten some of that news this week because I don't think they can hide certain people. So
Philip Silvera, who acted as a stunt and fight coordinator on the Netflix version of Daredevil that ran in the mid-2010s, has returned into the fold as the stunt coordinator and second unit director for the new series. So that's a big plus. Again, we're bringing back the old crew together. His hiring is the latest example of the retooling Born Again underwent during the strike as well. Daredevil was in mid-production, as we all remember, when the strike happened. That's when everything stopped, and they started making the changes, including the directing team, Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead, who helmed episodes of 2 Loki episodes, and were also tied, and the writer, Dario Scatterpan, who had been the writer of Punisher, have all come to fruition with that. Not only that, even though not officially confirmed by Marvel, but pretty much everyone's saying it, John Bernthal is back as the Punisher. Among the others that started making the rounds, and now it's looking more and more that now the trade is picking up, Deborah Ann Wall and Eldon Henson have been rumored, and their sources are saying they will be back as Karen Page and Foggy Nelson. That's the first time we've heard them kind of mentioned in a major trade.
Yeah, and the original rumor with them was their characters were killed, and
Yes.
now it's looking like the total reversal, and they're back. Which absolutely, I mean, the whole back to formula moment just from what we've heard has been nothing but good news. I feel nothing but good news. I think the show is absolutely going to be better for it.
Go ahead, Travis.
should have left him dead. No, I'm joking. I was somebody that I think for the fans, it makes sense. I was also just not opposed to it because I love the Daredevil show. I do think there's times Karen and Foggy were maybe in it just a tad too much. I would just sometimes take it down 10 to 15%. And I was also just kind of curious, okay, what does a Daredevil show look like without those two? Now, I don't think you need to kill them. I think you could have just had them away. I think that was a bold move. So yeah, we'll see what happens because I know the rumor going around is that she's 3 episodes, and with him it's kind of a TBD. But I think they are definitely in a mode where I was somebody where I'm not saying people are bullying them, but the way we talked about this many times where Marvel's going to do something different with Daredevil, there's many versions of Daredevil, be open to it, but it does feel a little bit actually, no, everyone's right. Let's just not do our Daredevil. Let's just do Netflix. And I'm fine because I love the Daredevil Netflix. So sure, I just like it feels like that a little bit, and maybe that's the right way, right? So it's funny how years we talked about, well, it's gonna be a little bit different. Like with She-Hulk, right? Tons of people didn't like that, and that's one thing I don't like because it does feel like a little people that are gonna be like, oh, see, he was so bad in She-Hulk, they didn't like that type. He's gonna turn it back. Or you get the reverse where they bring these people back, and if it's lesser than Netflix, that hurts a lot. But I'm gonna be optimistic because I like the characters. There's another character coming back, really excited about. But I think if they feel more comfortable with this route, then just do it. But it's just funny where we have shifted in the past year with this show,
And I'll say this, Eldon Henson's kind of been quiet, since the show's kind of come back. He hasn't really kind of said too much, if anything at all. Deborah Ann Wall has been very much saying, I'd love to come back. She, if it's not meant to be, not meant to be. She's played the cards pretty close in the sense of just promoting herself, saying like, I'm out here, I want to come back. I love this cast, even if it's 3 episodes. It's better than being dead at this point. In the comics, Karen Page has been dead since Kevin Smith killed her off. At that point, that's one of the few characters that has stayed dead for now, exactly. But even in the run that they're basing this off of, Charles Soule's run leading into Zdarsky's run, Foggy's there, but not really.
He's not a
relationship.
major player.
He's definitely not.
It feels like a couple that's been divorced. Those two, and they share a kid where they have to see each other, but there's not a liking there because I love the Soul. I've not finished the Zdarsky run, so I need to. But the Soul run, so I loved the Soul run. I loved that art style, everything. Obviously, they're not going to do that art style in the show.
Full black and the red and the red D. Yeah.
Even though I would love, please, Disney Animation, give me a What If episode or something with like that animation style. I would love it.
You're gonna get that costume in Friendly Neighborhood.
Yeah. I was gonna say freshman year, but I forgot the name change.
So I'm excited for. And you're right though, Chris. Like Foggy is around, but he's not a big part. And Karen, again, hopefully if this is a success, they'll do more seasons, so you can always just bring these people back, right? Especially it sounds like there's been scuttlebutt of Marvel thinking, we might do just a lot more of the street level stuff on Disney Plus now, which if you're looking budget wise, that's probably for the best. There's a reason why Netflix did the street level characters, because you can do a bigger budget show, but it still is within a capable, hey, we can spend money on this and not break the bank. Netflix, Luke Cage, Jones, Daredevil, maybe Defenders was a bit, but they always felt like, they're in a certain ballpark that worked for them. So
I like All in the Game's hope. Yeah, people can't complain if they are getting what they wanted from the Netflix show.
Oh, they will.
Come on. They
will.
How hard did you try laughing when you wrote that?
I get the sentiment.
This.
Yes, no, exactly. And that's where it all depends too. It has to depend how it's written and everything, right? So we'll see. But
look at The Flash, the TV show The Flash, right? The first couple seasons were fantastic.
I figured.
The last couple seasons, not so much, but they still have a lot of the same people making the show, a lot of the same actors, characters.
Exactly.
That said, I just yesterday told my wife that essentially this is Daredevil season 4. At this point, it is essentially Daredevil season 4, and I maintain it doesn't have to be as good as what we got with those first 3 seasons.
I want it
to still be a good show, a great show, even if it doesn't quite reach those heights. That's okay. They're bringing it back this close. They're letting Daredevil play in the sandbox with other characters. Yes, we saw him with the Defenders, but we haven't seen him with a lot of characters outside that before, really. Any characters outside that other than the She-Hulk appearance. And so, we get some different stuff there. Potentially there's, more appearances in the movies and stuff. Who knows what's going to happen with Spider-Man right now and all those rumors. But bottom line is, I like the moves they're making, and the show is so great that if the availability for somebody like your stunt coordinators is there, yes, please bring them in. Like, absolutely. If he wants to do it and everybody's on the same page and the timeline works out, fantastic. I think they'd be foolish not to.
My question is, I was going to ask this and I couldn't remember. There was someone, I don't know if it was the stunt coordinator or someone else tied to the Netflix show that really kind of railed on Disney.
I remember that.
The showrunner from season 1, whose name is escaping me right now.
Okay, all right.
Stephen DeKnight?
Yes, I think he had a couple comments against
No, he did, but no, I think Chris is talking about a stunt. Stephen DeKnight had comments against it, but his wasn't as harsh. The stunt guy, maybe I'll look at what you're talking. He was
referring to She-Hulk.
Yeah, he was.
okay.
No, I think Brent was right where he was talking about look what they did on She-Hulk, and I hear that's what they're doing with the show. I'll do some sleuthing, but yeah, I remember that because we were like, that guy's not coming back. But let's see.
It was a stuntman, Chris Brewster, who worked for Netflix's Daredevil series, has come forward with sharp criticism of the show regarding She-Hulk. That came from sportskita.com. I've never even heard of this site, but they're clearly regurgitating somebody else.
Yeah. The other thing that we talked about last week, but they're more confirming, is the 18 episodes are a thing of the past and will be more in line with the original Netflix model of lower episode counts. Daredevil got a tease and Echo and the mid-credit scene at that point. Here's an interesting thing, and I know you picked up on this, Brent, towards the end. They kind of buried it. Echo apparently had a quote-unquote halo effect for the Marvel Daredevil seasons 1 and 2, Hawkeye, and Punisher season 1. Apparently received major audience bumps, according to insiders. Even though we don't have those numbers, they're just telling them that. That's interesting.
Yeah, and hopefully, around February 7th, the Marvels has the same effect on the Miss Marvel TV show, which didn't have a massive audience. But yeah, no, that's great because Echo, the show that so many people were like, who wanted this show? We don't need this show. Marvel hates this show. They're burying it. They're embarrassed by it. This crap.
They're so upset.
And it comes out, and seems like they're pretty happy with how it went, and it's raising the time on the platform that people are staying in the Disney Plus platform for other shows. That's all a win. Everything there is a win. I'm not saying they're going to do another season of Echo, but I would be shocked at this point if the Echo character does not feature more in Daredevil.
Well, they're saying at the end of it that they're interested in doing more with the character and are developing ideas to build out their street level heroes. So I'm with you. I don't think she gets another season, but she's definitely going to stick around a bit.
No, I think what I've talked about before is I'd like another Defenders. I'm not saying season 2 Defenders, but I'd like another squad, and I think she's a good member on there. And with this, that's where it will be interesting, like the Marvels. With Loki, I guess that didn't really happen, but Echo, that is one good thing about it, that where it connected, you had Kingpin, Daredevil, and then she was in Hawkeye. That is a show that links to multiple shows for a reason to rewatch, where I don't think WandaVision gave people to go back to go see the movies because they've seen those. Loki, like, I feel like those shows you've seen, and then the other ones like a Moon Knight and even a Secret Invasion, I feel like those are, you don't need to go see anything else, right? Like Secret Invasion, of course, that's Nick Fury, but really, if people know Nick Fury's story. So I think there's a lot of people that, even surprisingly on my timeline, and even I podcast with 2 people, Kirkland and Taya, they've never seen them, right? There's tons of people that have not seen those. Well,
apparently Taylor hates the street level content, according to Geekverse.
He's just a sucker for multiverse.
Bring the multiverse. That's what he says.
But I guess I was just so surprised because I was in the thick of it that there is just a lot of people that didn't watch any of those. Even Daredevil, which was like the most acclaimed one, even people were like, didn't get around to it. So I think there's a lot of people dipping their toes in it now. So that is a good stat. I think overall, like, it helped. Like, for me and my people that I know, it's like a mixed reaction to the show, but like critic score, I think it was the high 60s, low 70s. So that's very good.
That was better than what we all were starting at.
Well, remember, it was a day. It was rotten for a day, and then it went up. So that was like a big comeback story for that show, and that's better than a lot of things recently, like Secret
72.
Invasion. Yeah, 72. That's a really solid score. And is there an audience score there? Or did that not happen for TV shows? I can't remember.
61 for the
and that's good because I feel like Secret Invasion, Ant-Man, like last year they had a couple of whiffles. So to me, they look at Echo as far as critically, fan reception, and I think overall, even myself, people that like I didn't love and enjoy Echo, but I don't also think it's like, oh, this is one of the worst comic book things ever. It's lower tier MCU for me, but it's not for me at Secret Invasion level. I'll say that much. So that's where I feel like
no, it's not.
Yeah, so I think overall, people, whether you like it or think, oh, it's fine, I think they'll take that as a win. It bumped up the other shows and it reviewed critically well. So I think they're looking at Echo as a win, which is like, I think they're gonna take wins more serious now than ever, because if they're charting what do we want to do next, I don't think an Ant-Man 4 is on the table now because of the last movie, but Echo, being around again, Defenders, give us a new roster, have her on the team. That's what my kind of pitch is right now. So
yeah, On the Game wants a Heroes for Hire episode of the recast of Iron Fist.
That'd be great. Yeah, it's so interesting. So I guess other than Vanessa, I'm waiting for that next shoe to drop, right? Because Vanessa, she got recast, Fist's wife. That was tough, though, because that's when they were...
I do like Phase Zero's idea that it's not the same Vanessa, it's a different person named Vanessa, and he just has his thing for Vanessa.
Maybe, but my whole thing is like, I'm waiting for that shoe to drop for someone to get recast after the back to formula, because that was before we're like, okay, we're kind of doing a new show, we want a wife, but like it could be someone different. But now if it's like you're bringing back Karen, Foggy, we know they're bringing up Bethel, we're gonna
bring back Elektra.
I'm hoping Elektra, but we know now they're bringing back the other topic we're gonna talk about.
Yep.
Kirsten Ritter's been rumored for 2 years. Yeah.
We'll take our ad break and then.
Kirsten Ritter's been rumored for 2 years, so that's why I'm very curious now with so many Netflix people coming back. Who is the first one after to get recast, or will they put Finn Jones and Mike Coulter back? I don't know.
If Finn Jones came in with the attitude of he's willing to put in the work for the stunts, I would vote bring him back. That was the thing I didn't like hearing about him. It came out that he wasn't willing to put in time. That's why if you rewatch Iron Fist, that you would notice Colleen Wing, Jessica Henswick, put in the work. She has way cooler fight scenes.
Yes,
and that's so back.
And she was willing to put in the work for him.
Make her the new Iron Fist.
Well, yes, I'm fine with that. But if he's willing to put in the work, I'm okay if he comes back. If not, fine, recast him.
Would you be fine? I know the internet wouldn't be fine, but would you be fine if they did a Heroes Hires for show, but it wasn't Dan? Like it'd be Luke with someone else. Because what if you swap that for a Jones, for a Colleen? Because like Avengers, X-Men, they swap members, right? I know that is a specific those two, but I just wonder if they could get away with something similar of using that name.
The thing was that they didn't develop that relationship in Netflix between Danny and Luke. They was more of a. They had a couple of moments, but I don't think they developed it as well as they could.
Season 2 Luke Cage, baby. Yes, that was a great episode.
That was a great episode.
It was a great episode, but it was just one episode.
Yeah,
you're right.
And even Defenders, they weren't enough together.
But to answer your question, there have been other like Heroes for Hire books and stuff that weren't the focus on them. Sure, I'm open to it, but it wouldn't be my preference because the Heroes for Hire is so much tied to those two specific characters that it wouldn't be my preference. But I'm open to it. I'm not gonna get all upset over them reusing a name like that. So
now they get the get woke go broke crowd.
As long as it's a group that makes sense, people out of that show, like say they wanted to have Misty Knight as a part of it, right? Who like that'd be fine with me. If they wanted to do Misty and Colleen and they called it Heroes for Hire instead of Daughters of the Dragon, I would say, well, that's not as good of a name as Daughters of the Dragon, but it's my show that I want, so I'll take it.
I'm just hoping I can get Iron Fist back. Iron Fist for me is like similar to Moon Knight, where that show came out and I was disappointed. Iron Fist was one of my guys. I had explained to Geekverse, I love this guy and he has the power of this and also the show. And I actually don't dislike the show as much as other people. I still enjoy it. Big Ward Meacham fan here. When's he coming back? When is Ward Meacham coming to the MCU, baby? I'm waiting.
There's your next recast.
There's that scene in season 1 where Ward's dad like hits him in the back of the head towards the end, and I'm like, get him, and he gets it back up. I'm like, he got back up. I didn't like the Meachams. I didn't like the Meachams.
That's fair. I get it.
But
I think that was the objective.
Season 2 improved. I didn't like the characters.
I think that's the thing we could say about like season 2, but the damage was already done with season 1.
Yeah, people already checked out. Yeah,
because of what they found out about Finn.
I last rewatched all of the Defender stuff in 2022, and
finished.
The Ward stuff did not bother me nearly as much then as it did like on my initial viewings of the show. And I'll rewatch some. I plan on rewatching Daredevil, Defenders, and Punisher before the new show comes out.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So see your question all again, but we're gonna take our first ad break. We'll answer that, and we'll head into our last 2 news items for the evening. So again, listeners, these ads help keep the lights on the Geek Ultimate Alliance Network. We don't get to choose what ads come on, and they could be a bit loud. Give it that 3 count before they come on. 3, 2, 1. We'll be right back. And we are back. All right, On the Game is asking, could they organically work in a Moon Knight episode?
In Daredevil?
In Daredevil,
not this. Yeah, not now. I don't think so.
The way it left off at that point, he's not based in New York. He's still based overseas.
Yes. That's why, again, as somebody, there's 2 things I always say to the show. Quality, I had some issues, but then the fanboy me, I did not like that we jumped from, I don't like that we ended with him fighting a big, there's a big alligator in the pyramids and stuff. Like, I love Moon Knight when he has what we saw in the asylum, all that mental stuff. But then I love when it's the street level character, because that's you have this guy who's dealing with mobsters and thugs, but it's like he could snap at any moment. And even the street level heroes, it's not as bad as Frank, but they look at Moon Knight like, you're a freak, dude. Like, they don't like associating with the guy. So I wish he was in New York. Maybe that's my hope for season 2, because we've heard some rumblings that Marvel's still thinking about that, probably because it's Oscar Isaac, right, bigger star, and it did really well, right? I always forget about it. The show ratings wise did pretty well. So I that's my hope, is that we could get to New York and then maybe, but right now with them slowing down on projects, if he doesn't make his way back to New York and we're not doing anything with Midnight Suns right now, I really don't know where Moon Knight fits currently, other than maybe he's just still doing his own thing. So
in the comics, spoiler alert, Mark Spector is now dead. So
I'm sure he's never ever gonna come back in a year or so.
Give it a day.
Give it a day.
To take the other side of it, I think Moon Knight and Daredevil would be a really, really interesting team up, because you would get you'd be able to replicate some of what you did with Daredevil and the Punisher in season 2 of Daredevil, where Moon Knight is willing to just straight up, kill people, and Daredevil, he's a bit more against that, if you will. Not to mention there's the religious undertones for both characters.
Not opposed to it happening.
The religious characters undertones for both characters could be interesting. The problem is where Moon Knight left off is with Jake Lockley, and I feel like there's some work, like they'd almost need like a Moon Knight special presentation or series again before the Daredevil appearance for that to really work. Otherwise, it'd just be like they'd have to explain to the Daredevil audience, who is this guy? And they could. I'm not saying it's impossible, but I feel like that would just take more time than I personally would probably want them to devote. Whereas if they just put Moon Knight back in I guess a status quo type moment, you could bring him over for an episode or two, and we could just have a fun time with these two characters kicking ass.
Yeah.
One day. Hopefully.
One day. But all right, so continuing on with the Daredevil news, this is coming as an exclusive breaking from comicbook.com. They can report that Wilson Bethel, Benjamin Poindexter, from the 3rd season of Netflix Daredevil, is going to return to Daredevil Born Again. Unclear how extensive his role will be. He was never named Bullseye. He was just going to become Bullseye at the very end of the show. Again, details matter.
He was. Details matter. Yes. I've had a couple people like DC Outlaw reach out to me and ask me what I think about this rumor compared to some of the other ones. And to me, comicbook.com is not known like the Daniel RPK style for dropping 3 different scoops every single day and just throwing everything out there, right? Like if they say it, I'm giving them more credibility because they're not saying stuff all the time. And the lack of frequency, I think, actually helps that. Not to mention production has started, as we mentioned, and it's got to be easier to get stuff than. It's not a sure thing. This isn't Hollywood Reporter. It's not Deadline or Variety or whatever. But if this was a fact or fiction, I would call it a fact.
Yeah, I agree with Brent where when they put scoops out there, it's not like they put out scoops and report, but it's not that consistent, but they also put out more in like a trade sort of way. Like they're closer to the trades than like Daniel Rickman is and other people like Can We Get Toast or whatever. So they're closer, but they're not like they're not Hollywood Reporter. So they're in this weird kind of middle ground. I just think that it's something that they know. I feel like they kind of got it in more of an official route, because my theory is just that they are going to be filming soon, and if he's coming back, that's going to get out there anyways, so maybe why not give it to somebody? Maybe it's a scratch.
Brandon Davis has got his sources. He knew about the whole Daredevil stuff with No Way Home for a while. He just kept it close to his chest.
And that's
a record about that.
I also respect that he was willing to keep some stuff back. Like that just gives me more belief in what he's doing. And looking at it, looking at his IMDb upcoming, which again, user edited, but his upcoming section only lists Daredevil Born Again. It doesn't list anything else. So that to me just says he probably has the time. It's not like he's tied up in another project.
And yeah, if it's good, like if it's true, not if it's good, because I'm hoping that's good too. But if it's true, I feel like it is going to be a role, but I could see it being a sort of mini arc, because we keep hearing lots of these characters might just be 3 to 4 episodes or something like that. And to me, that's where I think he's a good kind of ending of one episode. He has a mini, because I don't know what's gonna happen with Fisk, because they didn't leave off in the greatest of terms. So it's like I don't know if Wilson would be hiring that said character. Maybe it's someone else. Maybe Bullseye's also after Fisk. There's lots of things you can do, and I really liked his performance. So I would want to see more. I'd like to see that bloody costume. I'd like to see that. So I'm really hoping this is true. I would just love to see like him and Punisher interact. That's a dream interaction for me. Like these specific ones, because they're both a little off kilter. So yeah, I do believe this. I had always said that I was not thinking Bullseye would come back. That's when I was under the impression that this was like the 18 episodes. I always thought like that's a part 2. We've heard stuff about Muse before, so I feel that like now with this reworking, everyone coming back, it's going to happen, and I think it'll be a good time. I hope it will be. So I'm excited.
Yeah, it's. I'm glad it's back. I'm glad more than like we're not going to play this game where he's Bullseye, but we're never going to call him Bullseye and not get any kind of payoff outside of the ending shot of season 3. So then we can finally be done and get him. Now, is this one, again, Bullseye's kind of we have not seen a live action costume of this. Are we going to go the Colin Farrell / where we left off with Mr. Poindexter, or is he going to get costumed up?
I hope he gets. I want the costume. I hope
too.
He gets it. That's my ultimate hope. That now
or some variation of it.
Yeah. Now I could see it being, and whatever. Assuming he's not in every episode, whatever his last appearance is, that being the final, the time we get the costume, because we've already got the Daredevil costume, so they're not going to do the typical hold that back till the end. But they could do that with Bullseye, unfortunately.
Yeah, so we'll
and same thing, like where does he get this? He make the costume, or is he hired by someone else? Because before it'd be like, okay, Fisk will hire me, I'll get the costume, but I don't think Fisk is hiring him in the state that they left season 3.
Where would they get the costume is not a question I ever really need answered. Like I know we have had it answered. It was answered in Daredevil, it was from Gladiator, it was answered in She-Hulk from I'm forgetting the guy's name right now. But like in general, comic book movie costumes, I don't need to see them sitting there sewing it up and stuff like that.
I guess that's fair. I just mean more like, why does he take on that persona? That's not even so much the costume. Why is he not just Poindexter trying to kill Mad and Fisk, right? Like that's what I'd be.
I think you could
interested to see what they do in the show.
Maybe like an escalation thing. Like, okay, he's got a costume. He's being outlandish and out there all like crazy, flamboyant, whatever. I'm going to do the same thing so I can play with him from Bullseye's perspective, play with Daredevil on his terms, on his level, meet him where he is, instead of borrowing his, cast off Daredevil costume like he did in season 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll just have to see, even if
Gladiator coming back. can
maybe.
Maybe Nuke. We did have Nuke at one point.
We did.
Oh,
we did
I know.
have Nuke. Yep.
I was telling everybody when that happened, like, man, this guy
on his face.
Yeah, when we was reviewing that with Dylan, I was like, oh, and he's gonna become this, and you're gonna like just wait, and then Jessica Jones, like episode 2, he's just like taken. I was like, okay, there goes Nuke. So
there goes that.
Yeah.
All right, last story, which we were saying, well, we're not going to talk about this till a trade breaks it, and then it was an hour before air. Hollywood Reporter verifies and gives credibility to what Mr. Daniel RPK had put out earlier today, that Lewis Pullman appears to be now the lead candidate to replace Steven Yeun as the Sentry in Thunderbolts. So Marvel and reps for Pullman did not respond to requests for comment. I already know Steven Yeun had dropped out recently, that he was no longer going to be part of the project. And this is something I put in here that the Scooper Greatface put on Steven Yeun's situation. He or they said, or she said, Yeun didn't leave the role when the news became public. He left over a month or more before it came out. They've had the replacement for a while because, as of this time of recording, filming begins in 6 weeks for the Thunderbolts. So, which... Again, that's what we've talked about on the show. Like, when they have these castings, it's not just all of a sudden. Like, you get all these casts that come out as soon as filming starts. Yeah, they didn't just cast them and they wandered on the set. They just waited till an announcement to happen.
Right.
So.
It's often, the scoopers are often behind. Like, more often than not, they're behind what's actually happening.
And then when we get the news... And then when we get the news, we're even further behind because the scoopers are behind, and that's so. Yeah, we're living like a weird time cycle. But Yeah, it's an interesting choice because I felt like if we go with the people that were rumored, right? So let's just go because even Daniel and the DCU leaks guy, which they should just change their name because like they've broken a bunch of Marvel stuff the past month. So like just be like just get a full, just what like comicbook.com, like do something because clearly they got Marvel sources. They even last month they had someone else wrong, right? And that's where it happened.
Yeah.
So out of the choices, we went from Stephen Young to there was rumors of Dev Patel and then Austin Abrams, then this. Unfortunately, like, this is like the lowest tier because I have seen him in Top Gun and I hadn't seen him in Bad Times at Royale. I liked him in both, but I don't have the same attachment as I do to those other three actors. Both Dev and Stephen I've seen be great, and Austin Abrams I've seen be great in one episode in Euphoria where he's just like fantastic. So for me, it's like Dev, and for me, the casting what I'm most interested in is the star power level, because with Dev and Steven, those like, okay, those are already stars, so you're not going that route. Austin Abrams right now is touted as like, oh, he's like a up and comer, right? He's someone to watch out for. After Euphoria, everyone's like, he's gonna blow up. So that's what I'm curious about with this, and this could be that role for him, right, to get him out there. But it's definitely, I still thought they were going to get someone equivalent to the same star power as Steven. I just thought they'd go kind of pivot to someone.
Do you think they needed to?
No, but I just thought because if they got Steven in the first place, that was in their mind of we want a name for this role. Because I feel like Steve, and like pricing wise, and maybe this is the thing too, Stephen Yeun is going to cost a lot more than I almost call him Bob. What's his name? Bill? No, what is it? Is it Lewis? I'm thinking of his dad now. Jeez, I'm confusing for everybody. But that's why for me, it's like pricing wise and star power wise. If they went to Stephen first, that's why I thought that was their mindset. So,
well, I mean, you know, he is the son of Bill Pullman at that point, and we a lot of us have known him from Top Gun Maverick, and then Brent reminded me of a show that we both watched, Lessons in Chemistry on Apple Plus. He played the Calvin Evans. And I was like, oh my gosh, I forgot. You know, it's not only is it a less cost for Marvel with him, but also knowing what all of us do know about the Sentry character. I'm not saying Stephen Yeun didn't fit the part, but what I've seen Lewis Pullman do,
he can do it.
This is again. Don't read me as like he is playing him. It looks to be on paper a more comic accurate look for Bob Reynolds, but didn't have to be that. It did not have to be.
He's only taking Bob roles.
He's only taking Bob. Yeah. No, Lessons in Chemistry. I love that show, and I thought he played Calvin, and he did, in my opinion, just a great bang-up job in that. If you watch that show, you will really care about his character, and that's to his performance. And you mentioned the star power. Definitely doesn't have the star power. I mean, I didn't even recognize the guy at first. I had to look at his IMDb and like, oh my gosh, it's him, right? Like light bulb going off. But looking at like the cast of the Thunderbolts, not that all of them are, but like they at least have like recognizable names to Marvel people, which I feel like is enough to get you going from there. And so, especially Julia Louis-Dreyfus, David Harbour, Sebastian Stan, Florence Pugh, right? Like they have star power in this, at least as far as this goes. As big as, Glenn from The Walking Dead, debatable, but they have enough people close enough that I think they're covered on the star power front.
Yeah, they definitely got that. And quick shout out to my friend BJ Kicks. Comics are dope. Wishing us a happy congratulations at that point. Check out his channel. Smoothest voice in the business, ladies and gentlemen.
Nice.
Just did an interview not only with Greg Wiseman, he just dropped on Form, but also he's got for his subscribers, really dropping little episodes. Did a 3-hour interview with Christopher Priest. So
there you go. Check that out.
The Christopher Priest can talk. He was not prepared for how long he could talk.
I will say that, like, you're right where they have the star power, but I also would counter and devil's advocate that it doesn't hurt Thunderbolts to have more, because I feel like that's out of the 4 that are the next 4. I think that is the one that most people have their eyes on. Like, and I haven't even thought about it, but I feel like the same way when I early on was being like, I don't know about the Marvels. I've seen that a lot with people being like, I don't know if they should even do Thunderbolts. Now they're doing it. They're way far past. Like, they're going to do it, but I can see people's pictures of this being a bunch of like side characters, other than to me Florence Pugh, which, like, I know Bucky's there, but like, I don't meet too many people whose favorite character is Bucky. That's my thing. Like, people
like him. Bucky's
they like him, but like, will they pay to see him? That's my thing. Like people like Captain Marvel, they like
But they
Miss
don't
Marvel.
have to just pay to see him. Remember, they're paying to see him with
Yes,
Yelena,
of course,
with
yeah.
Red Guardian, and with the others. And so that's the advantage of this kind of it's an ensemble. The movie isn't on him the way that look
Absolutely,
at
yeah.
the Marvels. Brie Larson is by far the biggest name there, right?
Yeah.
The actual movie, I would argue they were all three leads, but she is the name draw there. It's Thunderbolts is different.
Absolutely. So yeah, that I think you're right because Pew is the biggest one. I am just curious, and I guess too, I'm also curious to see what we won't know for I guess a few years, but budgetary wise, what they're aiming for because I think
They need to keep that in check for sure.
Yes, that'll help. So yeah, we'll see. I'm excited to see because I like him as an actor so far. I'm excited to see what he does and just make sure the movie is. And I like the people that are writing it right now. So just give us something enjoyable. So.
Yep. All right. Well, that is all the news for this week. So we're going to take our final ad break before we get into listener feedback, Factor Fiction, and announcing the winner of our next comic book club. So listeners, these ads help keep the lights on the Geek Ultimate Alliance Network. We don't get to choose what ads come on, and they can be a bit loud. Give it that 3 count before they come on. 3, 2, 1. We'll be right back. And we are back. And I just want to put this out there as we start getting, at least in America, towards election season. You're probably going to start hearing ads for political things at this point. I will make it very clear. Geek Ultimate Alliance does not endorse or condone any ads whatsoever at this point. When we say we have no control, we have no control.
Yeah, and it's funny because we don't, because in Canada, obviously, we don't get those ads, so I never know what happens and stuff like that. The only candidate we support here is President Loki, and even then,
yes,
it could be questionable and stuff like that. But
yeah. So, anyways, I thought about that the other day. I was listening to a show, and they were like, "Yeah, probably need to start thinking about that." so all right, we got a few good questions coming at us. Brent, what we got?
All right, first up from Joshua. With the marketing for Deadpool 3 about to get started, do we think that they will focus more on the TVA involvement to show the connections to the greater MCU, or the team up of Logan and Deadpool, or equal amounts of both?
First trailer, Deadpool Logan. Second trailer, TVA. I think the first trailer is just to establish, hey, if you didn't know Hugh Jackman's in this, he is. A bunch of hijinks, cool. Second trailer will be your plot trailer, where it's like, because I don't think the Super Bowl people are like, oh my god, the TVA. I think they'll be like, oh my god, Hugh Jackman. That's where you wait for the second trailer to get that story, and that's where you can get that in. So I think 1 and then 2.
Yeah, you're exactly, because again, this is something they need to hook the general audience with. They've taken it on the chin. Marvel enough last year at that point. What's the biggest hook back? Ryan Reynolds, Deadpool, Wolverine, Hugh Jackman. That's how you start the buzz. That'll be one of the biggest trailers from coming out of the Super Bowl.
You want to talk a movie with star power? It's this one, right? It's these two guys, and that's what you focus on, at least at first. I'm sure Dogpool will show up, but other than that, like it's Deadpool, it's Wolverine. That's it.
Gwenpool State, Taylor Swift. Sorry.
But you never know. He had more of a comment than a question. This is related to last week when we talked about Deadpool and the fanfare being different. It says, I think the fanfare could be the normal one, but Deadpool puts his face over all the characters as a spoof. It might be too much work to make that happen. I think it'd be fun. I actually don't think that would be that much work for them to do. But regardless, just imagine the Marvel fanfare with nothing but Deadpool heads on everybody.
That'd be good.
I would have actually liked it to be the cutout of Hugh Jackman's face on everything at that point.
Oh yeah.
Maybe a mixture of the two.
Yeah.
So,
all right. From Phil, do you think with Deadpool 3 finally wrapping filming that they will have enough time to edit and polish the VFX in time for July, assuming some of it was already being worked on during the strike period? Curious to know what you guys think on the upcoming episode.
I think they have a lot on the line with this. We'll say it over and over again. This is something that I think where you have the caliber of Ryan Reynolds, as protective as he is this character, he's not going to want to put out anything less than the best. Sean Levy's proven himself doing really well and putting out quality products. Yeah, I think they are, like you said, Brent, they're going to be working on it. They worked on it before. They're going to get this right. I'm not going to say it's going to be perfect, but I think it's going to be better than what we've seen in the last year.
They still have 6 months to do it. I think they're going to make it.
Yeah, I think that they were working on it during the strike. And then also, and this is bad of me because I can't remember where it's from, but I remember I don't know if it was a scooper or a trade, someone saying that they had locked a lot of the stuff earlier than even people were expecting.
Right.
So we're like, oh, it's wrapped already. And it's because that's part of the new edict that Iger is going out, that like we want this stuff locked early so people have time to work on the actual effects, and we can and that's just a budgetary thing. So I think that's part of the new stuff, that hopefully things will be, of course you make changes, but storyboard, scripted, and you can try to finish a bit earlier, so it's not as much as a crunch where you have like people from effects work on the film 3 weeks before. You don't want that. At that point, it's like you got to be delaying this. You don't want it to be, oh, we're going to put this out here, and then when it gets to Disney Plus, we'll fix it then. Like, no, because the majority of people are going to see it in the the majority of people, I guess, used to see it in the theaters. Now I don't know, but you still, first impressions, everything, right? So I think they will, and I hope they do it in a timely manner, not in a way where a bunch of people get overworked to make sure that happens.
There were reports that half the movie had been shot before they were shut down for the strikes.
Yeah,
and so with that they were working that whole time. Absolutely, I think they'll be all right. Yeah. All right, from Brian, this one's specifically for Chris. Why does Bago love Identity Crisis so much?
Brian and I share an affinity for that comic at that point. Check out his YouTube channel, Sheehan is Dead Comics. The reason I've talked about this in World's Finest True Believers, we even did the episode with Greg at that point when he selected it as the one he wanted to go over. That was the comic series that, as controversial as it is, that's what got me back into collecting comics in any shape or form when I was in college. That had brought an idea of that, oh, heroes have problems. Oh, they're actually getting into some real stuff. They're having these real issues. And again, like I said, I understand the controversy of it. It still will always be what got me back into it. And then last year, getting the opportunity to meet Brad Meltzer and him personally signing my absolute edition of it, that's something that I will treasure beyond all belief. And I told him that this is the series that brought me back to collecting comics, and I could tell like he doesn't hear that too often in the sense, and so I got that opportunity. So it'll always be special to me. So
it's a good one. I mean, it is controversial, but it's a good story. So.
I think we all have those too. Like when I met Brent, and now I've met more people, but I grew up loving the Clone Saga with Spider-Man, and then I grew up reading everywhere about how bad it was. And then once I get to online meeting people, be like, oh, I loved it. That's one of those super people. Oh, I did all this damage, did this, but it's like, I don't care. I love the Clone Saga. I had a great time with that. So it's like whatever gets you into comics, it doesn't matter as long as you're enjoying it.
And I'll tell you that's about to go into its second or third reprint for the Omnis with Ben Reilly.
I have trades of the entire thing.
So that still boggles some people's mind. Like you said, it's such a reputation, but it's about to go into a third reprint.
My new comparison for that is the Spider-Man Clone Saga is like the prequel Star Wars movies, where they have a very feverish, loyal fan base, and Ben Reilly is akin to Anakin Skywalker.
It's like if you were young enough when the Clone Saga was happening, as an adult, you still love it. But
yes,
the adults then, because the adults then were told their Peter Parker wasn't the Peter Parker of the last 5 years. Whereas first time I saw Ben Reilly, he was Scarlet Spider fighting Venom, and I'm like, who is this character? I don't know, but he's awesome.
I saw him first in the 90s show, and then I was like, what's this? And then, he came from here, and that's when I started reading that. So I got introduced a different way, but that's where, for me, it's the same way as like when people that love Anakin, I'm like, wait, Anakin sucks. Like, I don't like Anakin at all, but that's the way Ben Reilly is. I feel like he's just like this very odd character that I don't know if we'll ever see him in live action, but just like what you like, It's tons
okay.
of comics.
I make no apologies to it, nor should anyone for what you like.
All right, from Jim Scroggs, congrats on 200 episodes. If you were in charge, would you try to get the Secret Wars / potential reboot as fast as possible to ease public perception of the MCU, or stay the current course?
I would say, I don't think you need to speed up, because that does more damage, because then everyone would say it's been rushed. There was no lead up. There was not enough thing. I think they say the course. That's what we've said about Marvel versus, Warner Brothers and their mistakes at that point. I rather them do what they're doing right now, potentially with course correction, making some good changes, putting forth a better product, and staying the course. That will have more confidence in people than just, okay, let's get to it in 2 years.
This was a tricky one, because like it just even sounds weird for me to say they should rush to it, because I do think they should kind of wipe their hands of some things right now. For me, it's of two minds. It's the stuff that we know, that we think we know, right? If there's stuff like Midnight Suns, like all these stuff we've heard rumor in development, if those things were all true, that's where I say you rush and you get rid of a lot of that. If it's just the stuff that's been announced publicly, that's on the slate, then I say you finish that, and stuff like Midnight Suns, you wait till after reboot. That's when you can bring in Ghost Rider. Stuff like even Young Avengers, like even what it sounded like the plan was to do with X-Men and even Fantastic Four initially was maybe wait until after the saga. Who knows about F4, because all we heard is that Foggy announced that sooner than he wanted. We don't know when it was, but I think that you finish what's announced, you get the Secret Wars, and I still think it's like going to be a soft reboot where you can still take in everything you watch from the MCU, but there is going to be a new actor playing Iron Man and Cap and T'Challa and stuff. So I don't think you rush, but I think you don't extend it. The way it just felt like, oh, we have, like, they announced a slate and it's like, oh, here's another project, here's another. No more other projects. I feel like even like Wonder Man, I feel like that's somewhere I think, yeah, you could have maybe gone, let's save that for down the road. So I think they finished what they have publicly. But if they announce more stuff, that's where I go, I just stop and just do with what you have here, because I do think that people are kind of ready for a reboot. And for me personally, after Phase 5, I am ready to wipe my hands of some stuff like Secret Invasion and Quantum Mania, because I just felt like it did, even Eternals to extent, hurt some stuff in the MCU. So I'm ready for like a start kind of square one. I don't know what that leaves with Tom Holland and Sony and Spider and all that stuff, because I don't know what you do with all that with if you reboot everything. But and who knows? Ask me again in 2025, because if Deadpool hits and then all those movies in 2025 hit and they're back, then it doesn't matter. So from right now, I'd say stay the course with what's announced.
I'd slow down. I'd actually do the opposite.
Oh
I would slow down a little bit.
Secret Wars 2030.
That doesn't necessarily mean add 17 more projects. Make sure you have time to get a Spider-Man movie and another Spider-Man movie in there where you don't feel like that movie is rushed. Make sure you have time for a couple other projects. Maybe do an Avengers movie that is lower stakes than, you know, all of existence.
Masters of Evil.
Yes, Masters of Evil. We haven't had something like that. Yeah. I wouldn't slow down to the point of, you know, push it all back 5, 6, 10 years. I mean, but I'd take at least a couple more probably.
That's fair. I like that approach too. I think because we've all said that before about the slowing down, and that gives it a chance, because I always will push back on people that go, oh, they should reboot after Endgame. I always say absolutely not. There's too much on the table to reboot. And if the reboot would have sucked, then everybody would have backseat quarterback and be like, oh, they should have never rebooted. We loved all those characters. Why'd they throw them out? So it's like I don't, and it's not that it's unsalvageable. It's just that you don't want another year like this year where you have whatever side you're on. People are mixed on a lot of different projects. So I do like that suggestion too. If just you slow down to a very slow pace and take your time, because like we're in no rush. Like Kang's defeated, and we don't know the Avengers, and you know. So
Jim's other question: who is the best hockey player on the planet? Why is it Nathan McKinnon?
I don't even know who that is. I'm not a hockey person.
I don't follow hockey. There's a minor league team in my town. I don't even know if it's minor league, super low, whatever. I don't know what their level is. Super low. They're not NHL though. So I'm just gonna say, Jim, he's the best hockey player on the planet because you said so.
Yeah, unfortunately, Heinz gives me shit about this all the time, but I'm one of the least Canadians. I don't watch hockey. I don't really like hockey. So I'll say Happy Gilmore, because he played hockey before he went to golfing. So that's what I'll say.
Okay, all right, I respect it. All in the game in the chat says, when do you address the end credit scene of Multiverse of Madness with Doctor Strange and Charlize?
Doctor Strange 3.
Yeah. And that's another thing to your slowdown, because I remember too when we heard those rumors, it's still not officially announced, but remember it was like, oh, we got Doctor Strange, and the word was like, that's heading to Secret Wars, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, actually they want to do a Doctor Strange 3, and all of us were like, they don't have the time for that. Like with the schedule they had out, they want to do it before Secret Wars. So stuff like Doctor Strange 3, Shang-Chi 2 to me is like pivotal.
Yes,
that's where the slowdown, and maybe Brent has turned me where I'm on the slowdown train now, because bang out some of those movies that people are dying to see, the characters they're dying to see again. You know, even myself for Eternals, I don't love them, but it's like, if you're going to try Eternals 2, sure, try it then. It was just that window of, we're going to, especially when there was 2 Avengers movies in 1 year, it's like, we're going to get this all done here. So maybe not. So yeah, because Shang-Chi 2, I don't know what's going on.
Way overdue for
we should be getting that like this year or gotten it, but no.
All right, one final question from Amari Daniels. In honor of 200 episodes, what are some episodes you were the most looking forward to recording because of the news that week?
One thing obvious at that point, it was more just what happened afterwards. Getting to review No Way Home, I think it was our last one we had done with pretty much the full GUA network, just because we know how that movie was going to resonate with everyone. We didn't want to like not include someone. But then I'm literally we're driving to my in-laws' place the next day in Florida, and Travis, you keep updating us on where the episode, how fast the episode is tracking, and we had not seen those kind of numbers anywhere within 24 hours, let alone what we got to in a week.
It was like the biggest episode in 2 days for Marvel. I think maybe not even that. It was one of those.
And it's the biggest episode of the network, period.
It's
Yes, yeah.
related, I would say, the No Way Home trailer drop.
Yes.
That
The
was
No Way
fun.
Home trailer drop when a bunch of us got on, and I don't even remember that was technically Geekverse, wasn't it? I don't know.
No, it was a
Whatever,
crossover
was it?
episode. We got
Okay,
together
yeah.
because we both.
I just
You guys
know
wanted to do
a
it.
whole
We
bunch
wanted
of
to
us
do
were
it.
here,
Yeah.
and it was. We went and watched, and I know I remember ditching you guys to go watch it on my TV, and then coming back because I wasn't going to have my first time watching this trailer be on my phone or my iPad. But that's the first thing that came to mind when I read this question.
I think I got like a few. I think talking about it again tonight. I was disappointed in the show, but I remember when Oscar Isaac was officially cast, and I called in from my office from work with terrible Wi-Fi, and I was using these headphones as like the mic, but because it was Kristen Hines, and that's when I was still the full host. But I was like, we knew it's like because my schedule at that point I was going back between 9 day, and me and Chris just knew like they're gonna announce it the day I'm working nights, and lo and behold, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do this. Maybe I went over my lunch break a little bit, but I had to do that. So that was one. You were right about the No Way Home trailer drop. That was another one. When we did the Comic-Con, we did another Marvel Geek First episode. That was really fun when we were getting like Secret Wars is happening and Daredevil's back, and like it was just boom, boom, boom. That was a really good time. And then I'm trying to think. There was one other one. Oh, I kind of forgot about it. But yeah, those would be maybe to the first episode of WandaVision, because that was such a delay of when we're in. I just was so curious to see not even just WandaVision, just what does Marvel look like on Disney Plus. And yeah, we've had some lows, but we've also had some super big highs as well, especially in that first year as well. So that was a fun one, just the anticipation. And I think that was our first news we ever had, Chris and I, was those rumors of Evan Peter. And I remember because I feel like I think we did about 3 shows that were just main topic based, favorite comics, what the MCU should do. And then finally some scooper put out there. I think it was Charlie Murphy who put out, hey, I've heard M. Peter's on set, and we're like, oh my goodness. It was our first, like, hey, we have something to talk about. So that was excitement in that level of just like, oh, I can make a thumbnail that's like relevant. Like that was a good time. Like finally, news.
I was saying along the same lines, like when we had Feige actually on the record talking about Deadpool. That was a fun one. And I'll even say, like, this show originally was not a live show. This was like Travis and I recording on Sunday afternoon.
Yeah.
And I think the live thing just kind of came about just haphazardly. It's like, let's just try it. And now it's become a thing. So it's the show's evolved. The show's gone through little changes here or there, but kind of like what some of us are saying with Marvel, we stay the course. We'll make little changes here or there, but we'll stay the course. So.
How will the Deadpool episode do in comparison? It's like to break the fourth wall. Podcasting's always weird because like even one of your guys' top 5 episodes is like the Eternals, and I would have never thought that. I can't remember. There was one year for us that like even on Geek First there was some non-Marvel DC Star Wars one that did something. Same thing like this year. Like we have Saw fans, but Saw how like did better than like a Marvel movie. We're like that. Like our most listened to episode on Spotify last year for Geek First was our Saw review, and we're like, that's very odd. We know we done a Saw retro and people know it's Saw, but we're not like, hey, if you like Saw, go check out the Geek First guy. So you never know what the algorithm's gonna check. But I think that could be I don't think it'll be No Way Home, but I think it will be probably number 2 for you guys, and then for us, our top 3 is Endgame, The Batman, and No Way Home. So I think it could be in that top 5. That'd probably be around.
And another one that kind of really ran traction for us was San Diego Comic-Con.
Yeah, those always do good.
That did some interesting traction. So that the fact they took a year off, everyone's coming back. I'm looking forward to do that this year.
Yeah, that'll be a fun one.
So. All right. Well, thank you all for sending us those questions. And let us head to Travis's Fact or Fiction from last week as you get ready to talk to us about what you're going to do for this week.
Yes. Very excited.
Right, pulling
I had
that.
to kill one fact or fiction because I'll tell about the news broke. So I was like, okay, I can't do that. But
It can't. Come on, you had it. You had it.
I should have done it last week. I should have, but
Yeah.
sometimes you play the cards that are dealt. So, but I will
Exactly.
reveal it after this. So,
All right, fact or fiction number 1. What if season 3 will come out before September 2024? Oh, they're not against you, Travis, but some scuttlebutts hinting that it might be.
what was the final?
29%
Yeah,
29% said fact, 71% said fiction.
I'm telling you,
It's looking more likely after those
Yeah,
images
it's
dropped.
getting hints.
I just don't know why we would have gotten a clip from a show and images from the show if that thing is not coming out in the summer. That does not make. Why would they do that? And it's not till December. They don't need to talk about this. So I'm telling you, it's happening. I felt really confident when that dropped. I'm like, okay, and they got Sam out there, so we've seen Sam finally, which is great. So
Yeah, there he is.
yeah.
Echo will not be in the first season of Daredevil Born Again. 52% said fact, 48% said fiction.
Close one.
Yeah. And number 3, Deadpool 3 trailer will show 2 other mutants that aren't Logan or weren't in the previous Deadpool films. Another close one, 52 to 48.
Oof, people are undecided on those last two. Okay. Yep. So the one I was going to do was no live action Spider-Man will appear in Madam Web. I feel like that's pretty clear after this last week. Like we got rumors of Garfield saying no and them editing a bunch of stuff out. Says, okay, that's
Dakota
not even
Johnson
worth
on
it.
Seth Meyers.
What did she say something on Seth Meyers?
What was it on Myers
Jimmy
or was
Fallon.
no Jimmy Fallon? Sorry.
What did she
Jimmy
say on Fallon?
She
I missed it.
He basically straight up asked her, and she said no.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
that's
I missed that.
yeah, straight up
Smart.
asked her, yeah.
Yeah, that's smart. Okay, so I had to replace with like to me a weaker one, but we're just gonna do it because check out cheap plug for Geekverse. The last episode retrospectives are coming out for the X-Men for the public feed and the Patreon. So I threw out there. Let's do animation a little love. Xavier will return in season 1 of X-Men '97.
Fact.
By the end of the season?
And I'm not saying a flashback. I'm saying he's gonna be there.
Yeah, end of the season.
Okay.
By the end of the season.
If you had said like within the first 3 episodes, I would have had to mull it over. But at all, fact.
Yeah.
I think the way that they're going with Magneto taking over the team, this will be Magneto's season to lead the team, but Charles will be back by the end.
As I said, it was an easy one. It was a last minute one, but they can't all be winners. But yeah, I'll say fact as well. With I think it will happen last episode. That's what I'll say. That's what I think will happen is everything's going good. They defeat the evil, and then Charles, we haven't seen you because we've had it. I don't think Marvel's officially confirmed it, but it sounds pretty confirmed that a season 2 is locked for the show.
It is.
So I feel like
they're already doing they did the voice work.
Perfect. Yeah. So I feel like that's a good cliffhanger right there. Charles showing back up, and a bunch of stuff has changed, and then it's like, hey, who knows? Maybe he's showing up in a bit more of like a villain role or something. I don't know, but I think the last episode, I think fact. Maybe he'll show up like Krakoa, like Power of 10. He'll have the helmet, everything like that, and the suit. I would
do Onslaught. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that would be. Yeah, we definitely know season 2 is happening because the voice actor who played Wolverine posted a picture of him saying season 2's ago.
Perfect. Okay, so to keep in this realm, because I don't know when I'll be on next, if even before the Super Bowl. So just in case, Deadpool and Wolverine will be recruited by someone to set up Secret Wars in their end credit. So I'm saying it doesn't have to be them both, but I'm saying we're gonna get an end credit of the Watcher, Xavier, Reed Richards, Tom Cruise's Iron Man, someone Blade's voice saying, I'm here to talk to you about the Guardians of the Multiverse.
Watch it happen in the mid-credit and he gets it wrong.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I'll say and or mid. I'll say, after the credits is what I'm saying.
Brent, you should have done that.
In a credit scene.
We'll never go back and look at it, though.
Yeah.
No,
Deadpool and or Wolverine will be recruited.
I'll say fact.
Yeah, I think this is
a lot of caveats there.
There is. It's
Yeah,
very specific.
But
I said
say
and
fact.
or. Yeah.
I'll say fact.
I want this to happen because again, I feel of anything outside of Loki, this is the movie that has to start moving us towards Secret Wars.
If Deadpool can't help save the multiverse, what can? I mean, it's got to be Deadpool.
Howard the Duck. Yeah. I think so. I think I'm a fact. I just wonder if there's like a. I guess the reason I put the Deadpool and or Wolverine because I feel like Wolverine's a lock for Secret Wars. Where lots of these rumors when we hear them, we've never actually heard Ryan Reynolds or Deadpool come up, right? So I don't know what that deal is. I think he would be there. I think there's just still like a small part of me that they just might not do, just to see, like, almost not to. They're always setting stuff up, but almost like if we're taking Brent's method of slow down, of like, we don't know when the Avengers is, maybe just don't tease it right away. I know Thanos was years ago, but I just mean in the sense of maybe just like, let's just have it themselves. And also, they could also just be 2 comedic end credit scenes, right? Knowing Deadpool. So I'll play devil's advocate and say fiction, but I think it's probably fact, and I want to be fact. But I'll say fiction. Small chance maybe they're just gonna take a wait and see approach. Like, let's just let Deadpool go out there, have people enjoy it, and we can always circle back another time. Wolverine or Deadpool can always pop up in some end credit for a movie, right? Like Wanda and Scarlet, or Wanda and Quicksilver just popped up in Captain America, you know?
Yeah.
And then finally, because we've seen set photos, you know, but we haven't heard much, Daredevil will get a new suit in Daredevil Born Again. And by new, I don't mean like it's the Netflix one with little additions. I mean like a full revamp. Even if you want to count a color, that's fine, like a yellow, or if it's full black. But I don't mean like, oh, in this one, his pants are a little higher than the Netflix. Like, not that. I mean like it's distinctly very different. Different texture, different color, different
Wide
design.
eyes. You get wide eyes.
Just, no, his eyes are just out there. You just see them, you know, and everyone knows it's Matt. Like, that's what I mean, like a big, I'll say a new big overhaul suit for Daredevil.
Designed by our costume designer from She-Hulk.
Fact.
Yeah.
Luke Jacobson, that was his name.
Jacobson.
Yeah, I'm saying fact. The characters, they get new shows or new costumes all the time.
Do you think it's a color, or do you think it's like what people are hoping for, the skin tight, you know, leather-esque, that the D, like everyone always wants the D's on the chest, right?
Sure, people want the D's on the chest, of course, but it's
phrasing.
I know what I said. I feel like if they do the skin tight one, that's more of the like the joke that's the only costume he can get type thing. So it feels more like them. You know what? They're gonna do the '90s black armored one. We'll say with that.
Oh, no.
jeez.
Oh my gosh, that would be amazing. I love it.
It's a cool costume. I mean,
I'm really having some fun with that retro series they're doing right now, the black armor. So,
What about you,
the
Chris?
retro Daredevil series.
yeah, they're doing. Marvel seems to be on this kick right now with bringing back retros. Like, there's this whole thing they're doing with
There's
Secret
a whole bunch of
Wars.
Spider-Man ones, but
You know, there's one with Secret Wars that they're literally doing like a whole comic miniseries between 2 panels, basically, of events that happened, like right after he got the black costume to something, a little adventure he went on, you know, right after he just got it. So,
gotcha. Cool.
I'm gonna say yes, and it's gonna be the standard. We're gonna get a new costume the final episode, just because it's so fun and it
yes.
ticks off the
Yeah.
internet.
Yeah, it's a good call.
Oh, it'll be late in the show. Yeah, it's final episode for sure.
Yeah.
To face off Bullseye in his costume.
And they both have a costume.
No,
off,
they're
yeah.
facing off against Mr. Poindexter at that point, still refusing to call him Bullseye.
He will be called. I should make that a fact of fiction. He will be called Bullseye in Daredevil.
That's shooting fish in a barrel too.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I will post those Sunday afternoon and let your voices be heard. And the triumphant return of Comic Book Club is coming, and we're finally at that point. So, ladies and gentlemen, we had you out there voting for this, and voting finally closed tonight, even though it was pretty obvious after a while what it was going to end up being. That the theme was alternative futures. And the final decision was between Old Man Logan, Age of Ultron, Spider-Man 2099, and Thanos Wins. And the winner was very far and away Old Man Logan is going to be our next one. So issues 66 through 72 and Wolverine giant-sized Old Man Logan #1. Second place was Spider-Man 2099, followed by Thanos Wins, and no one voting for Age of Ultron.
Nobody.
Damn.
That's funny. All right, three horse race. Got it.
Yep. So next week we will start on Old Man Logan, the triumphant return of Comic Book Club. And so it's been a very long time since I've read that series by Mark Miller. But I it's not necessarily the writing I enjoy. The story I enjoy as overall. It's the art, I think, of McNiven that really hits hard. So
It'll be fun to revisit.
yeah. So All right, gentlemen, volume 200. We've had the march to it. Now it's the march to 300.
Yep. And then 2000.
2000.
On the way to 2000.
All the way to 3000.
If was it 3000? Oh yeah, I guess.
I love you 3000.
I think if we ever end the show, we'll just jump and just make it call volume 3000. That's where it ends. People go, "Where's that big jump?"
Exactly.
You have to find them on the internet somewhere.
It's a time shift.
So, yeah, exactly.
You call it legacy numbering. You just didn't know we did the show all this
Exactly.
time.
Yeah. Or we just go back to number one, just like other comments. Like, oh, our volume number one, we're hot. We're hot and new.
Well, thank you, Travis, for joining us these past 2 weeks in a row. I
course.
appreciate it at that point. I know at the very least you were going to be on 200, but, the show was the beginning of your brainchild at that point. Thank you for offering it for me to come on as a co-host. And as always, Brent, thank you for jumping onto the ship. It's been a great pleasure.
It was sinking before, so.
Sinking before. I didn't say that. But it has been a fun ride for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I was glad it could be here for 2 weeks in a row. Always a good time when I can be here. I choose to be. So, yes, thank you everyone again for listening as well. So,
awesome. And tell you how people can follow you.
Travis B. Snail, Twitter, talking about stuff, talking about wrestling, unfortunately, right now. The Travis totally be out, and then February, pretty sure our film will be out. It's looking a bit better than
close.
Yeah, it's getting close. So, but yeah, look out for that, and I'll be back to promote that. And yeah, hope everyone has a good upcoming weekend.
Yes, Brent.
Brentac Prime on Threads primarily, but I'm on the other ones as well. So find me wherever you're at.
Yeah, we probably got to work on getting the Marvel line stuff since you keep on plugging it on Threads. So probably.
I really am there more than I am on Twitter.
He is. He really is. So, yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at Chris Balgo. You can follow my other show, World's Finest True Believers, at Finest Believers. New episode coming out this
weekend.
Yeah, this weekend. Yeah. So, actually, Mr. Brian, who just posted his first question at that point, will be my guest. So, it would be a DC-centric, the longest series we have ever covered on World's Finest True Believers.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yes, not even close. Nothing's ever touched it. So check that out. Sunday morning. Preview tweet drops Friday afternoon. You can follow this podcast on Twitter at Marvel A Podcast. You can email the show marvelalliancepodcast@gmail.com. You can follow the Geek Ultimate Alliance Network on Twitter at GUAPod Network. Feel free to tweet, email if you want to provide feedback, ask questions. DMs are open across the board. Continue to rate and review Marvel Alliance on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, wherever you get your podcast. And apparently right now, from what I'm hearing, gentlemen, Apple, if you're listening on Apple, whenever that new update happens, they're going to be transcribing it for just on default.
You can read it, yeah, which is so funny because I'll always get I won't say a spam email, but every couple months some company will hit me up and be like, for $10 a week we can transcribe your podcast. And now Apple's like, yeah, we're just gonna do it. So I'm very curious. I'm sure those people aren't happy that run those types of sites.
Yeah.
So but yeah, that's great for people if they want to. Maybe you would prefer, you go, man, I don't like Travis's voice when he's on, so I'll read the episode this week.
I'll read the episode and create his annoying voice.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But as always, thank you all, everyone who's listening. We greatly appreciate it. Thank you all live in the chat. Stay safe, everyone. And as we've said since the beginning, as Stan the Man would say, Excelsior, true believers. All right, post-credits discussion. Part of what Daniel RPK dropped was like, well, yeah, we knew that, but the interesting thing was what came from it. So he put out there on Twitter this week that Jeff Loveness was reportedly fired from Kang Dynasty after the negative reactions of Quantumania and the terrible box office. And I was like,
no way.
No, that didn't happen. That's not official. Yeah, we pretty much already figured that. But what was interesting was the follow-up. His plan for the Kang Dynasty was to reportedly gather all the leads of the Multiverse saga except for Thor. I like how that's like Thor's out to fight against the Kang variants on Earth. The film would have been relatively grounded and not involve many multiversal elements. And at this point, I read that and I'm like, okay, one, hate all you want about Thor Love and Thunder. It still made a ton of money at that point. Still one of the more, then box office wise, one of the more
people
popular
like Thor,
ones. Yeah. And so you're going to leave out Thor and you're going to have other leads, but make it grounded without multiversal elements, and it's leading into Secret Wars, there's a lot I have either red flags about this scoop, or I have a lot of concerns of Marvel at that point.
Well, that's what you said at that point, though, right? Because that's the hope where, again, because I taught Bullseye and Geek first, I don't think this was ever just fully Jeff Love and his plan.
I agree with that,
is like, oh, this is what we're doing. Kevin's like, absolutely. No, like they concoct
get rid of Thor.
It could have been his pitch.
Yeah, exactly. It could have been his pitch, right? But they definitely fit with that. So
hire him on that pitch, sure.
Yeah, I don't think we'll get this. And who knows whether it's BS or this could have come at a time where they're going down a different road. But it does feel a little odd, as Brent had talked about, and I've said this many times. I would have been down for a smaller Avengers before, but if we're not going to delay those other Avengers, we're on the road to the big time, right? So it's I'm just waiting for. I really want to know who director is soon, because that'll be another tipping point of where they're going in the future. I know we got what's his name, Waldron, writing it now, but
I don't think of Kang as a grounded villain. Like that's,
what was that? What was your first sign of that, Brent?
The Thor stuff, you could chalk up to, hey, maybe they were going to do Thor, but Chris Hemsworth, I know you mentioned this on Geekverse, he had his health scare and, wants to be more limited. They're like, okay, if he's only going to give us one more movie, we'd rather have him in that movie than this. All right, fine. I'll give him a pass on
exactly,
Thor.
yeah.
I give him a pass on Thor. Now, if Hemsworth is willing, well, you put him in the movie, idiots.
There, yeah.
But if he's willing, you put him in there. But just a more grounded take, I just don't see it. I don't see it. I'm not going to say it's impossible. I'm struggling to see it right now. And I don't know. If Quantumania had been better received, if it had lived up, frankly, to the potential that it had, then everybody would have said, sure, it makes sense. Put this guy on the King Dynasty, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It didn't. It didn't live up to even if you like the movie at all, which, I mean, I enjoyed parts of the movie for sure. I don't hate it the way others do, even though it's by far the weakest of the three Ant-Man movies at this point. It didn't live up to the potential it had. You didn't do it. Sorry, you didn't perform. So I don't blame them at all for moving on from them.
That's what you need to do. You the proof's in the pudding. If the audience doesn't care for it, the critics don't care for it, why would you keep hitching your wagon to that pony?
Well, and there's a reason why Marcus McFeely and the Russo brothers kept getting brought back for the big ones, because Winter Soldier hit well and Civil War hit well, and that's why
they started small.
Yes, exactly.
They started with the first Avenger. Keep in mind, Marcus McFeely, they are one of the many teams who had a pass at Thor: The Dark World, but they started small and they worked up. Through First Avenger, Winter Soldier, etc. Each movie getting bigger than the one before it. I just think that's a better way. All in the Game says get Benson and Moorhead, Feige's new go-to directing duo.
Yeah.
I would be certainly open to that. I'd like to see them do a movie first.
I agree.
If that was the case.
Yeah.
And yes,
they got to have a trial ground.
I have absolutely enjoyed their work on TV. I'm looking forward to seeing what they do going forward. But it just, I would like to see them do a movie before you give them, this saga's Infinity War.
It's completely different, like everything, just writing, pacing, directing. It's a completely different medium. I know it's just, it's something you film, put on screen. It's not. It's the same way as to talk about how you have many book writers that tried to go into screenwriting and it's not the same, or even vice versa, So that's the thing where we had heard those issues before, that Marvel at one point with TV, they just didn't, like, they weren't doing show. We had a long list, and we've talked about this to death, right, of all these things they didn't do, where it's like, usually TV shows just do these things. Well, that's because they were dipping their toes for the first time in TV, so that'd be the same thing as this. I've had some issues with them, because I know I didn't love they were some of the Moon Knight guys, right, I think, and I didn't love that. So, like, I'm 50-50 on them, where Loki, I thought they did a bang-up job. Moon Knight, and even that, Moon Knight's not bad. I won't say that. I was just a little disappointed. So that's where, for me, I know they're doing Daredevil right now. They're coming in to kind of like save that, but that's where I'm complete agreement with Brent, where I need a movie first and then go, because you don't want to give them the keys of the kingdom and then be unprepared or it not work. And then, because I do think you can screw up some things in MCU and Marvel. I don't think you can make a disappointing Avengers movie. No, I'm not saying I don't think you can. I mean, like, that's one you can't. You got to get it right. I know people throw that at Age of Ultron. To me, that's still not it. That's like a
No,
good serviceable
that's-
movie. Tons of general audience love that. $1 billion. Like it's that's a hit. You know, and when I mean script too, I mean something very, Secret Invasion. You can't have that happen with Secret Wars or with Avengers 5. Like you have to have all your ducks in a row for Avengers. So that's where they should get a little more experience there.
Yeah, so we will see what comes next week. And again, thank you all, and we'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye.